Those men get along best with women who can get along best without them. I can barely conceive of a type of beauty in which there is no melancholy. There exist only three beings worthy of respect: the priest, the soldier, the poet. To know, to kill, to create. How little remains of the man I once was, save the memory of him. But remembering is only a new form of suffering. A sweetheart is a bottle of wine, a wife is a wine bottle. Beauty is the sole ambition, the exclusive goal of taste. This life is a hospital in which every patient is possessed with a desire to change his bed. To the solemn graves, near a lonely cemetery, my heart like a muffled drum is beating funeral marches. God is the only being who, in order to reign, doesn't even need to exist. Modernity is the transient, the fleeting, the contingent. It is one half of art, the other being the eternal and the immovable. As a small child, I felt in my heart two contradictory feelings: the horror of life and the ecstasy of life. Whether you come from heaven or hell, what does it matter, O beauty? It is the hour to be drunken, to escape being the martyred slaves of time. Be ceaselessly drunk, on wine, on poetry, or on virtue, as you wish. Any healthy man can go without food for 2 days, but not without poetry. The study of beauty is a duel in which the artist cries with terror before being defeated. It is necessary to work, if not from inclination, at least from despair. Everything considered, work is less boring than amusing oneself. Two fundamental literary qualities: supernaturalism and irony. Everything that is beautiful and noble is the product of reason and calculation. There are as many kinds of beauty as there are habitual ways of seeking happiness. The insatiable thirst for everything which lies beyond, and which life reveals, is the most living proof of our immortality. For the merchant, even honesty is a financial speculation. It is by universal misunderstanding that all agree. For if, by ill luck, people understood each other, they would never agree. For each letter received from a creditor, write 50 lines on an extraterrestrial subject and you'll be saved. Evil is committed without effort, naturally, fatally. Goodness is always the product of some art. I love Wagner, but the music I prefer is that of a cat hung up by its tail outside a window and trying to stick to the panes of glass with its claws. Anybody, providing he knows how to be amusing, has the right to talk about himself. Nearly all our originality comes from the stamp that time impresses upon our sensibility. A book is a garden, an orchard, a storehouse, a party, a company by the way, a counselor, a multitude of counselors. Let us beware of common folk, of common sense, of sentiment, of inspiration, and of the obvious. What is exhilarating in bad taste is the aristocratic pleasure of giving offense. Modernity signifies the transitory, the fugitive, the contingent, the half of art of which the other half is the eternal and the immutable. The man who says his evening prayer is a captain posting his sentinels. He can sleep. A frenzied passion for art is a canker that devours everything else. To handle a language skillfully is to practice a kind of evocative sorcery. There is no dream of love, however ideal it may be, which does not end up with a fat, greedy baby hanging from the breast. All which is beautiful and noble is the result of reason and calculation. To be a great man and a saint for oneself, that is the only important thing. Who would dare assign to art the sterile function of imitating nature? The priest is an immense being because he makes the crowd believe astonishing things. Evil is done without effort. Naturally, it is the working of fate. Good is always the product of an art. It would perhaps be nice to be alternately the victim and the executioner. Common sense tells us that the things of the earth exist only a little, and that true reality is only in dreams. It would be difficult for me not to conclude that the most perfect type of masculine beauty is Satan, as portrayed by Milton. In literature as in ethics, there is danger, as well as glory, in being subtle. Aristocracy isolates us. Any man who does not accept the conditions of life sells his soul. There is no such thing as a long piece of work, except one that you dare not start. If the poet has pursued a moral objective, he has diminished his poetic force. Even if it were proven that God didn't exist, religion would still be saintly and divine. I am unable to understand how a man of honor could take a newspaper in his hands without a shudder of disgust. The poet enjoys the incomparable privilege of being able to be himself and others, as he wishes.